Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the PHNX Rising show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. I'm Ramon Chavez, checking in here for our 6 p.m. Tuesday show. I feel like we haven't done this in a minute, but joining us as always, Owen Evans, Max Simpson. How you guys doing today?
Doing well, man. How are you guys?
6. It's normal.
Yeah, it's the twilight. No, night. I don't know. I don't even know what time of day it is, but it's dark in here. You know, some light, so it's some sort of nighttime.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be fun though. We're gonna have a great show. A lot of stuff going on right now. We got the World Cup round of 16 wrapping up today. 17 days of football, straight days of football coming to an end after today. We're gonna have to wait till Friday for the next set of World Cup games. So that's oh, Michael already started. I don't want to talk about that. We'll talk about that later. But of course, we're going to touch on the World Cup and what's going on with that. And we also got a lot of Rising news happening, including a big announcement from our very own Max Simpson regarding one of the Rising news that came out today. So I'm excited to hear about that. That's the tryout, Max, if you weren't aware. Yeah, let's talk.
Max is trying out.
That's what I've been hearing on the grapevine.
It's some felonious PHNX_Rising rumors that I've heard have been breaking. Just can cut those down. Those are definitely slanderous, not true at all.
We'll talk about
it. Be careful. I hear that transfer rumors can result in legal action being threatened in some quarters. But hey,
all right, y'all. Let's get started with Rising, and then we're gonna get to the World Cup. But a lot of Rising news coming out recently. We did get, let's just touch on it since we're already talking about it. PHNX Rising will be hosting open tryouts. Now, Owen, you've been around this team for a very long time. Has this happened before, or is this the first time?
Yeah, no, it's happened before because Tyler Terrans did the open tryouts back in, I believe it was 2020, and decided to tweet quite a bit about his experience doing that. So yes, open tryouts have been done before. They've been done by other USL teams in the past as well. So it's not necessarily something completely new, but yeah, I hear that Max, you're really tempted though, of course.
I mean, shoot, I'm dead. Listen, man, if I can register for free, I would give it an honest try. I'd share the experience. It would I probably wouldn't do well, and I don't like my chances to make the squad, but yeah, I'd give it a go. Sure, why not?
Well, rumor has it that Max actually expressed a really quite controversial opinion to us previously, which is that he reckons that if he was given a whole season, that he could find the net in USL. Wow. Right, and here we go. Max is unwilling to put $200 up to try and put his money where his mouth is.
Oh, interesting.
Go and try out.
I mean, I don't recall it. This seems like a lot of this very giving me the, hey, Max is going to buy first, second, and third round at Four Peaks type vibes. I don't see anything written. I don't see anything said.
Except this time you did run your mouth. You did run your mouth that you could perform at this level. You did. Ramon as my witness.
I was the one that asked. I think the specific question was, if given 30 minutes per game during the course of a USL season, would you be able to score once? And Max confidently said, I'd score more than once.
Okay, whoa. Okay. First off, if this conversation took place, which I'm not saying it did or didn't,
it did.
I would not have said it more than once. Listen, I am not going to throw shade at any player because I understand this is at the professional level. It's very top. Now, let's talk hypothetically, since this is clearly the first time I'm being asked this sort of question. If I'm able to, someone maybe gets fouled in the box, maybe a little handball, and they need a certain someone to step up to the spot, I do like
and
my
take a Spanish-style penalty, then Max Simpson will be your guy.
You asked the question. I think I can bag it. I feel confident I can bag a penalty. In my career, I've never missed a pen. That is a fact. That is an absolute fact.
Yeah, what, against Parks players?
I'm sorry.
Hey, don't disrespect Bennett at Park either. Look at this guy.
Excuse you.
No, but yeah, no, it's good to hear. You know, that Phoenix Rising is given an opportunity to local talent. You know, when you guys,
Juan, if you're watching, just waive that tryout fee, and we're gonna make an embarrassment of Max, please.
There you go. What if it was like $100? Maybe you can get Max in. But yeah, the tryouts. I mean, if you go to the Phoenix Rising website, if you're interested or you know anybody that's interested, you guys can go to the Phoenix Rising website. You do have to make a payment. It's $200 to try out. And these tryouts will be happening January 20th, 21st. And if you make it past that second day on January 22nd, they're going to have an invite-only scrimmage. So that's, you know, Max just, you know, giving you a little heads up on what's to come. And but yeah, this is an opportunity for a lot of people, you know. So if you guys want to take advantage of it, definitely do that. Moving on.
Start a GoFundMe. Maybe we'll just start a GoFundMe to put Max through tryouts.
I mean, I don't want to brag, but you know, Sunday League Division 2. Gosh, in the fall season, I was a Golden Boot. You know, with a nice 6 goals in about 7 matches. Just saying, you know.
You can list that under your references, you know. List one of your teammates as proof that you actually won a Golden Boot once.
I got it in tallies. I got it's on my Instagram at Max David Simpson. Find it there.
We gotta work on your goal celebration. You know, something so. We can,
but as Reese says here, can Max do it on a Wednesday night at LA Galaxy Track and Field Stadium?
I don't know about that one.
He won't have to because Galaxy 2 are gone. Goodbye.
Nice.
All right, y'all. Moving on to the next set of news. So Phoenix Rising announced the coaching staff for the upcoming season. So a lot of these names we're already familiar with. Some are staying from last year, and then some newcomers are joining. Previous assistant coach Danny Stone and goalkeeper coach Corey Robertson. So the people that are going to be joining them are Marcos Reina as an assistant coach, which he has been working with Juan Guerra for a very long time, and Chris Standring as a video analyst, and also Jeronimo Aymar as his strength and conditioning coach. So a lot of announcements today. I don't know if people were we're too excited about the coaching ones because you know, we still have questions about the rest of the players that are going to be part of the team next season. But what did you guys have think about, you know, or Max, you know, since Owens left us, what did you have to say about these announcements that were happening today?
Yeah, Owen was too scared to answer the question, so he, you know, typically he bolted. No, I'm a fan, right? I think whenever you're able to add an assistant who has that longevity, that relationship with you know, coach, you know, the fact that Marcos has a very nice relationship with Juan, I think that's amazing. I think you're able to build that chemistry. You have an idea of the coaching style, the philosophies, how to train with guys, how to work with the guys. It goes a long way. And I think the fact also that he has a lot of prior experience in Liga MX, that's honestly great for recruitment, great for this time of year, and even in future seasons where you are able to tap into a very wide-ranging player pool that's very attractive to not only how Rising plays, but also to the Arizona market. So I'm a massive fan of that. And whenever you're able to get coaches who have just experiences from all over the world, I think it can only help you.
Yeah, I think one of the more interesting things, though, about this is we're going to see for the first time Chris Standring in as a video analyst. He came at the end of last season. He was over in Phoenix at the very, very end of the season. I actually got to chat to him at his first game, which was RGV away. The fact that he'd made the move over, he's trying to make the move out of the youth game where he had a lot of success with Chelsea's youth teams, but it's notoriously difficult as a video analyst to make that jump from the youth game up to the first team. I'm intrigued to see what he can bring to this group. I think that it's a move that was underway well before Rick departed, well before Juan took over. I remember Rick talking about the fact that we're trying to just get this visa sorted so that he could come over. Well, it ended up taking till almost the end of the year, but just adding that extra component of the video analysis, what is that going to do in terms of just elevating how well this team can perform? I I can't say that I've encountered that many video analysts around USL. We'll have to see what it ends up being like.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing that people were trying to see if this was going to happen was Luis Manuel Seijas, to see if he was going to return in some sort of capacity as an assistant coach. From what I can see on his Instagram stories, he's still working on his coaching license, so I don't think that's going to happen, at least at this time. But for you guys can give me your opinion. I would really like to see him as part of this team. I think he would bring a lot to the table, and like how we got to talk to him about him. How we got to talk to him about what he was interested in during the interview that we had a few weeks ago. I think he would be a really great asset to have with PHNX Rising.
I think he commands a lot of respect from the boys, and it's not that the coaching staff don't, but it's just almost different. The level that he played at for so long inherently garners the respect of, quite frankly, any footballer that could possibly walk into that locker room.
Absolutely. And not saying that it's even needed, but the fact that if he joins, then you also have a bridge in a way between the players and the coaches. When you bring on someone who I just played for the club, to Owen, to your point, I command a high level of respect, and someone who he can step into that coaching, staff day one, if he's able to join, and be like, hey, I'm still figuring it out from a coaching angle, but I have this rich playing career where you can still tap into that.
But I'm not expecting him to now. I'm really not expecting that we're going to see at least, in the immediate, a change whereby he is added to the coaching staff. I feel as though the staff that has been announced is the staff that we're going to see come the start of the year.
Yeah, I agree with Owen. So we'll keep an eye out. We'll see what happens throughout the year. Let's move on to another piece of news that we haven't really touched on. We kind of voiced our opinions on Twitter, at least some of us did. But Greg Hurst was traded to New Mexico. We were hearing rumblings that he was not going to return to the team. We were kind of wondering how that was going to shape out. And, the announcement came out on December 2nd, that Greg Hurst was traded for an international roster spot to our very good friends at New Mexico United. I'm kidding. Don't come at me at the chat.
Very good friends.
Yeah. But how are you guys feeling about that? I'm really disappointed, man. I feel like Greg Hurst just wasn't giving his fair shake, at least in the first season here at PHNX Rising. But how are you guys feeling about this?
It feels cheap. It feels incredibly cheap. Look, if Greg Hurst moves on, that's fine. After the season that Rising as a whole had last season, no player is indispensable. You've got to make some big changes. Even players that have promise are sometimes on the table. But when you command a fee of one international slot, which is what the trade has been announced as, there was one international slot is what the team gets in return. It massively puts the pressure, I think, on the Rising front office, on Juan Guerra, to find an appropriate replacement. And not only that, because the nature of the fee is so cheap, if Greg Hurst has a standout season this year, questions will be asked. And I think they're perfectly correct to be asked, why wasn't more gotten for him? If you're going to let a player like that go, who is, in many ways, you'd have thought going into a rebuild, the kind of player that you want, actually. Someone who, despite the team as a whole not performing, despite patchy playing time and questions over his positioning, still managed to get his fair share of goals. He still managed to bring in assists. And he did so on a wage that's, at least for this league and for the player of a caliber that he is, pretty modest. I find it slightly strange that this is the move that's gone. Again, you've got to hope that there's a plan in place behind there, because if he's not replaced well, questions are going to be asked. And if he goes off and has a standout season this year with New Mexico, questions will be asked as to why the team didn't drive a better bargain.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think if you look at the profile of Greg Hurst, take Rising out of the equation. He is an attacker who he can get into the box and get around the box, links up play very well. He can be that long ball guy, but his strength really is to drop in and be that connector for the rest of the attack. I think that's something that when you look at what Rising is looking to do, especially under Juan's system, it's something where, I mean, he fit really well. I think especially after Juan came in, it's where he had a nice stretch of games that, definitely saw on the score sheet. I just don't understand the logic as much, especially with, to your point of, you command an international roster spot. The pressure is immense, but also when you're transitioning into this new team where you are now in your first full season as manager, you want as many guys. You're going to clear house of players who don't fit to what you're looking for. Totally understand, but the ones who do, you want that connectivity of, it's already going to be difficult enough making this transition and going into a new season. You want your players you can count on. I think to all of our estimations, we thought that Greg Hurst in Juan's eyes was that guy. And if you don't bring it, if you lose someone who has that familiarity with your system, who fits pretty well, I just don't understand the logic of it, especially where it seemed like he wanted to be here. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, we hope there's a plan in place, but you just look at it on paper, I just don't see it.
To a degree, I'm just going to say, actually, in the chat here, the one question about who's responsible for driving a better Hurst deal for the club. I think it's both. It's both Juan and Bobby. There's not a true distinction necessarily between who's doing what and those kind of things. They're both involved in the recruitment. They both are involved in those kind of discussions with other teams. I don't believe that the deal would go ahead without Juan's input. I don't believe that that's the kind of situation they're in whatsoever. And I'd be surprised if Bobby was just completely leaving him to do whatever he wanted on his own. So I'd imagine it's a mixture of both. The only reason you could possibly say as to whether, if you're on the question then of who would be responsible for getting a better deal, maybe it would be Bobby if it was simply Juan said he wanted Bobby to find a way to get rid of Greg. But that's not, I tend to be surprised if that was the case. I get the feeling this is just, bearing in mind, of course, that Greg also took up an international spot. Not a green card holder, so doesn't qualify as a domestic player. So it effectively results in 2 more international spots for PHNX Rising.
Yeah, interesting development here. Greg Hurst, I feel like he grew on me. If you go back and looked at our earlier shows, I was saying Claudio Repetto is going to be the #1 striker. And then Greg Hurst kind of took his spot, and we all kind of saw what happened throughout the rest of the season. So hopefully he has a great season over there in New Mexico. Wishing him the best. Was always cordial with us. Always a great guy to talk to. So wishing him the best over there in the, is it the land of enchantment? Is that what they call it? Yeah,
I think so.
I'm sure there are different
Maybe.
nicknames that the chat can come up with here.
I know. Let's not let no. Let's not.
Greg can have a good season. I'm not sure that they're going to want the rest of that team to have a good season.
There you go. Let's leave it like that. Let's move on. Speaking of Bobby Dooley here, he was able to give an interview today to a local radio station. They were asking him about the situation with the new move and what's going to happen. I don't know if you guys were able to listen to it. It's like an 8-minute interview, but he had some interesting things to say. A lot of the things that we already kind of knew, but one of the things that kind of struck me a little bit most was just about the 5-year plan, where whether they like it or not, they're not going to stay in that area for more than 5 years. They're going to have to move elsewhere. And based on the answers that Bobby Dooley gave, they're looking to maybe do a permanent structure. I don't know how much I can bank on that, but what did you guys think of this interview? And did you guys kind of find something interesting in what he had to say?
I feel as though the 5 years was something we did kind of know, at least, that the city has had plans for things they want to do, things they want to fix up with the airport, new cargo areas and all of that. And it kind of made it clear that, look, in that location, maybe that isn't the long-term future. I mean, beyond that, one of the reasons that people were saying look at it for the long-term potential was the idea that there could be big expansion there. I don't think that would have really been possible without eating into the land of the park and swap there, which would not have gone down well with the local community angle. The club kind of very effectively managed to sell to the Phoenix City Council. So it's not necessarily a huge surprise. I think ultimately the team wants a more permanent location. But for now, 5 years is a reliable, lengthy term time that allows them to make plans for what comes afterwards. And that, at least hopefully, from the club's perspective, will rid them from the frequent concerns that they had off the field in terms of the running of the previous location. And that's the biggest thing more than anything.
Yeah, I think when they went into this move and when we heard the news that, like, yes, they are moving forward with this, but even before that, when they were exploring moving out of, the previous locations, you just got the sense of, hey, this doesn't have to be the forever move, but you at least want to have it in your near future of, hey, we have some stability. I think that 5-year window, it gives you enough time. I mean, if you always wanted to, you can exercise the additional options if needed, but I think it makes a lot of sense. This club, I think there's greater aspirations. Whether it's I know there's been other discussions of whether that's like either move up, but even just having a more permanent facility, permanent stadium. I think it makes sense that you give it 5 years. That's a very long tenure when in relation to some of the other places they've been recently, and then find that next step of like, hey, we've been entrenched in the community. We've been in multiple spots throughout the valley. Now let's really pick the right place and go from there, set up shop.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. A lot of interesting stuff that Bobby Dooley said. He says that they're going to have more control about what promotions they can do with the vendors, pregame, stuff like that. And that kind of, in my point of view, or, what I understood from it is that it might be a return of dollar beer night, which I know a lot of people were maybe hoping for. So we'll see if that happens, because that'd be
There's
really
been
fun.
a lot of teasing of that somewhat over the years, maybe a little bit more now, but let's not get people's hopes up too much. Let's wait until it is on the calendar.
Yes. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, great stuff. A lot of Rising news, man. Even though it's the off season, we're still keeping tabs on the team, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on in the future. I think we need a break right now, and when I need a break, where I go to? I know Max, you're a big fan. OGs, because OGs be hitting lately, man. You pop one in, you relax, you have a great time, you watch the TV, you watch the World Cup, whatever you're doing, and it's a great time with OGs. And my personal favorite, the tropical flavor, that's my go-to. But if you guys haven't yet, make sure to purchase your very own OGs. Take a break, man. Kick back, relax. It's a stressful week. All the holidays can be stressful, so make sure to enjoy some OGs and kick back a little bit. Max, what's your favorite flavor, man? I know you like the sleepy time, but what's the go-to if you can pick?
I do like sweet design. My favorite is the minis. 3 milligrams. Plenty for those of you who are either new or don't want to dive headfirst. And it is the tropical flavor, which is super nice. But I like the sativas and the indicas in the minis. They feel fantastic, especially if I'm watching on a weekend and it's like I just want to relax, don't go too crazy, but just enjoy. Honestly, probably about it kicks in for about a full World Cup match. It's pretty nice timing. I think Spain's team might have taken some OGs after those penalty kicks today, which we'll get into a little later. But
I like Spain. But yeah.
But hey, they all got all kinds of good stuff. That's my favorite. And I would say second favorite flavor is orange creamsicle.
Ooh, okay. So yeah, make sure to purchase your very own OGs. And as always, you can find them at your local dispensary. And remember, you must be 21 years or older to enjoy. All right, y'all, let's talk about the round of 16 with the World Cup. Do you guys want to talk Spain, Morocco, since this was the...
Let's do it. Let's do it. Right. If you have, by about the 80th minute, got 75% possession and have taken, 3 shots, the same number as your opponent, you're in trouble. There needs to be some serious thinking among the Spanish approached it. It was the best part about it is that you really see a team as well that has been so toothless for 120 minutes decide, let's continue to be this toothless in kicks from the mark. It was, I mean, it was impressive today. And look, Morocco defended with a lot of heart. And to be perfectly frank, as soon as that final penalty was scored, I just turned around and said, you have all the days you just want to be in the Souk Waqif in Doha to be able to see just the reaction that night on what it would be like down there in the mill with everyone. Just that's one of those nights I think you want to see it because they had a massive fan presence across Doha, and those fans, they made a lot more noise than anything that the Spanish fans were able to do. I mean, I saw games of both of them. One of the teams actually attempted to chant during its games. The other one was a bit pathetic, I'll be perfectly frank, almost as pathetic as the team's performance.
You can name them, Owen. You can do so.
I mean, we know exactly who they are because I'm talking about the team's pathetic performance on the field. But look, I feel as though at the end of the day, it just felt like the writing was on the wall all throughout. And as soon as Spain, I think, fell behind, that was it. That was it for me. There was no real chance for them to work their way back in there. As soon as Morocco, God, I've been watching that Fox broadcast where he keep calling them Mexico instead of Morocco, and it's for whatever reason stuck in my head. Thanks, I think it was Ian Dark. But as soon as Morocco got their necks in front, you just knew that they were probably going to hang on to it in front of that kind of a support in Education City Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at all of the matches that Spain has played, you can make the argument and pretty convincingly that they've gotten drastically worse in each one. First one was the 7-0 thumping against Costa Rica. Second one, they go ahead to Germany, and then Germany equalizes off of, honestly, they kind of carved through that Spanish system. And then again, against Japan, they go up very early. They concede 2 goals late, can't see it through. And then against Morocco's side, you're not taking anything away from them. They won first in a very difficult group, as they should have. But, I mean, a lot of people on paper, they didn't give Morocco a chance. And I think that's kind of the downfall of the Spanish system of tiki-taka, death by 1,000 passes, is if you're not able to penetrate through, if you can't play with that lead early, especially when an opponent like this, where they have legitimate defenders, where they have an attack that can hit you on the break, even though there wasn't a lot of shots registered, you can see that this Spain team was frustrated and they just ran out of options. I am surprised how poorly they fared in penalties, but I mean, that's how it goes. When you get to that stage, it is a literal crapshoot, and well, they did not come through.
Look, I think you mentioned it as well with a 7-0 to open it. This is a team that won 7-0 to open their World Cup campaign. They didn't look like they'd score in 4 or 5 games today.
Yeah.
They could have played 4 or 5 back to back. They were just pitiful in front of goal.
Yeah, that group of Japan, Costa Rica, Germany, and Spain, I don't know what was up. I think that just kind of sums up what this World Cup's been about, because you have these 2 powerhouses, right? Like, where you're like, okay, they're going to make it out of the group, no problem. And then Japan, gets out of the group. Costa Rica beats Japan after Japan just beat Germany. It's like, what is going on here? And then, you see a result like this, and it just makes you question everything that you think because like we said, Spain, their DNA is tiki-taka and break them down, and they couldn't do that. And ever since their 2010 World Cup, they missed. They weren't able to get out of the group in 2014, out against Russia, I believe, in 2018, and then in penalties this time around against Morocco. It's insane, man. Like, the Spanish Federation, might be rethinking its approach to its national team after those results. The other game from today, Portugal versus Switzerland, 6-1. Did anyone expect that, especially with no Ronaldo?
I feel like after our first few goals went in, you just kind of walk away and go, it's one of those games. Yeah. Like, it's on in the background, but are you really paying much attention?
I think the camera was more on Ronaldo than the actual game. Like,
can we talk about that first strike, though?
My word.
Talk about taking the top corner on the near post.
That was on the defender, though. The Swiss defender gave him the
No,
angle.
it's still like
I get what you're saying, Ramon. Where it's like he's got to close him down, and like I do agree with you there. But I mean, the broadcast, Fox Sports, they did make a point where it's like who does expect the shot from that angle, and it just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's almost like a glitch in FIFA where the defender kind of pauses and the other, where you lose batteries on the controller and the other one's still going, and it's like, oh wait, what? Because you shoot that, there is. Even if you're scoring, you're not hitting it from that ridiculous angle, putting it into the top bins like that. Like I watched the replay and the way they had the camera angle, for those on audio, this is gonna be fun to recreate. But like when like the camera angle, they had it almost behind the goal. And when you see that shot coming in, you have to wait until the very last frame before it looks on frame at all, because the ball's out of the entire shot. And you're thinking there's zero chance that this guy can score from this angle, and he did. I want to look up the XG from that spot because that's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Ramos was the one that scored. He actually had a hat trick today, which a lot of people, were kind of happy about because he was in for Ronaldo, who was not able to get on board during this tournament besides that penalty kick. So, yeah,
right,
I mean. Yeah, go ahead.
We're hijacking this because I know you don't want to talk about it, Ramon, but we really do.
No, I have it later on. I have some.
It later on. Yeah, but we're talking about this game. Why not? You just mentioned that he's replaced him. I think that genuinely we're at a point now whereby I think Ronaldo is done as a world force.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. It's a tough look when things are going right at club level, and then I'm going to ride it during the World Cup, and like it's been decent so far, and then in a absolutely pivotal game, unless there's some sort of injury or something that we're not knowing, which I doubt, you don't get the start. I mean, at that point when he comes on, the game is pretty much decided, but just tough. I don't really know what to say because this has all come so quickly. Like think about 2 months ago where Ronaldo was at. What a difference. Well,
the guy spent more time at this World Cup crying that it caught the very end of his hair for one of his goals than doing very much productive. I think it's more just a symbol of the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo, as opposed to, like some other big players and unlike certain others, his ego swelled with his ability to a degree that as his ability declines now in age, that ego ain't getting smaller with it. It's just as big. And the problem with that is that it does cause a problem on squads. It does cause a problem on teams where, quite frankly, he's no longer good enough to get away with the things that he may have once gotten away with.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still got that little bit of magic in him. I'm sure that if needed later in this tournament, could he come off the bench and completely turn a game around? He could well do. Could well do, because you don't get to the height that he gets to without ultimately maintaining some degree of that, no matter where you are in your career. But I'm just not convinced that we're going to see Ronaldo as the big star that we've seen for so long. I think that Saudi Arabia is going to be his retirement home, tucked out of the way. It's not even a visible retirement home, right? MLS is at least a visible retirement home. He's going to the one with very restrictive visiting hours, and nobody's visiting. Sorry, Cristiano.
Oh man, MLS heads are right.
You get paid handsomely for it, but
when they listen,
nobody's watching.
I mean, I think the difference is it's not asking the question, does he provide value to a club or a team? It's the question of, is it worth it? And I think when you couple in the wages for a club level, and then on both levels, when you factor in just like the attitude and how that's been certainly for his career, but I mean, the play style just doesn't add up to it. I mean, especially from someone that's your captain, it's just, it's tough. It's really tough to justify. And I just don't think there's going to be a lot of biters. So yeah, it's tough.
To answer Michael's comment here, I don't think that was exclusively Ronaldo's fault that Man U went from second to sixth, if that's what you're referring to. But here's the thing, and I agree with Owen's point that you can't really justify the ego and the temper tantrums, all the stuff that we're used to seeing from Ronaldo if the productivity is not there. And in this sport, at the end of the day, it's a business. If you're not producing, man, and you're charging, an arm and a leg to be part of the team, it's not worth it, man. And so that's why Man U had to move on from him. And I understand why they did it, especially after that interview with his best friend, Piers Morgan. And I was kind of hoping for him to kind of have a rebound this, in this World Cup, but it hasn't been there. Is it exclusively his fault? Maybe not, but just what happened on the field today does not help this case whatsoever, especially with the guy that's replacing him scoring a hat trick. So I was happy to see that he was happy for his teammates, and I know the cameras were all kind of cutting to him in every goal just to see what reaction he had. But, that kind of tells you that maybe he kind of has to accept it now. We'll see what happens. He's had some issues with the head coach from Portugal this World Cup, as well as far as tantrums and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. He may have maybe a couple of games left, but it's not pretty, man. And I'm you guys know I'm the biggest Ronaldo fan there is, but it's just not pretty.
We know you're a huge Ronaldo fanboy. Speaking of which, here is the question.
Yes.
If this is the last that we see of him of any real note at any significant level, where has he booked his place in terms of the history books? Where is he right now?
Oh man.
I think we have to wait to see if Argentina can crack the final and do something. I feel like if Messi wins this,
Messi has at least scored a World Cup knockout goal. Ronaldo has not, and it's not for lack of appearance.
No, but to be serious, I think Messi, if he wins, he's the absolute GOAT. There's not really a question. I don't really think this Copa America kind of counts. That's my opinion, but Ronaldo, I think,
as opposed to the Portuguese Euro, which they won on the back of drawing and draw and draw. The only game they won in 90 minutes came against Wales.
That's
entire tournament.
That's international soccer.
And then Ronaldo went off in the final. In the first,
you gotta be pretty. You just gotta be good. You just gotta be better.
Coach Ronaldo. Yeah. But I think Ronaldo's definitely top 5 for sure, all time.
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I in my personal opinion, I also love Ronaldo, especially from the Madrid days. But I think regardless what he does the rest of the World Cup or Messi, I still think Messi has the better body of work. I'll put Ronaldo in my top 5. I think a lot of people say that this whole
Ronaldo's not even the best Portuguese goal scorer, though. Come on.
Get out of here. Now you're just hating. Get out of here.
No. In the history books, I'm serious.
What are you saying? Eusebio? Is that who you're putting up top?
I mean, it's a guy who scored 9 goals in a single World Cup. So I mean,
that's fair. I mean, it's
60, 56. When was this? Here's the thing about Ronaldo. He's been great in different leagues. That's why I've always seen him above Messi, because Premier League, Spanish league, he did his thing in Italy, so he's done it in different places. While Messi has played, it's not to his detriment, but he's played most of his career with Barcelona, now in PSG. I've seen Ronaldo do a lot more with a lot less, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. Respect that.
Yeah, look at Owen, just the Ronaldo hater.
He's bitter.
Let's take a look at yesterday's matchups here. We have Japan losing to Croatia in penalties. As soon as that game went to penalties, I knew Japan was not going to be able to pull it off. So, sad to see him go. I actually really like the way that they played, but Croatia coming through, and they still got it, man. From 2018, they don't give up.
Yep.
The other matchup, Brazil, South Korea. Was that another one that you guys turned off early, or did you guys watch the entire
Pretty
game?
much. You just kind of, as soon as the second goal went in, you kind of this game's over.
One of my roommates is Brazilian, and he's naturally a massive Brazil fan. And he's even I was like, hey man, are you actually nervous for this game? And it's like, we're Brazilians, we don't get worried about round of 16. I'm like, okay, man. And before the match, I was, just poking him a bit, I don't know, man, Neymar, I think he's back, all these things. And once the goal started coming in, when it was 4-0 at halftime, I'm thinking, oh man, like I want to see 10. Like all you can put on there is just 4. You can easily double that, make it 10. And then when they conceded that goal in the second half, it's like, wow, man, you were the worst team. You're the worst team in the second half. Like, I don't know if you're competitive. Like, come on, it's just kind of ribbing him a bit. But yes, this was one that not really great from a neutral's perspective after about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. And here's the thing about that scoreline. 4-1 tells you Brazil completely dominated the entire game. I feel like South Korea did pretty well. You know, Allison was keeping them in the game. There were a few chances where South Korea was, knocking at the door. So, I feel bad because they had to run into Brazil, but South Korea is not a team to take lightly moving forward. So, good for them. Let's take a look at the next round that's coming up, the quarterfinals, and let's look at the odds from our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. We're gonna start with Owen's favorite team, England, facing off against France. England plus 205, draw plus 230. This is in regulation, by the way, and then plus 145 for France. So who are we feeling here? Let's start with Max, and then we'll chalk it up to Owen later.
Ooh, I mean, yeah, to me, it's an easy one. We are temporarily the
PHNX France podcast.
Les Blues, yes.
Allez les Bleus.
Yeah. No, I mean, to me, if you look at how these teams are playing, I don't even think it's that close. England hasn't really dominated any match they've been in. Even the ones that they've won convincingly, they have started incredibly slow out the gates. I mean, France, they've just been a sheer force this entire World Cup, even against Australia, where, the first game they come out and they go 1-0 behind, doesn't matter. They absolutely just steamroll teams. They have multiple players who can do it. And I think it's going to be a very close matchup. Like, it's probably going to come down to like a goal, maybe 2 difference, just because these teams are so stacked. But yeah, give me France. I'll even give you a scoreline. Give me 2-1 to the French.
The question is, and this I'm gonna leave it up to you, Owen, is Mbappe scoring once again, this time against England?
Oh, this is the question. See, to me, Kylian Mbappe brings something the English don't have, which is this one true star above all. I think the English have a lot of good players. Max is pulling a weird face there. The English have a lot of good players, but I think they don't have a star of the gulf there that Mbappe is compared to some of the others. And so the question for me is, what do the English do? Do they go all in on Mbappe and then risk the fact that you've got a lot of other good players there, Giroud, Griezmann, all of those kind of guys that can cause you also a lot of problems if you don't pay enough attention to them? Or do they treat Mbappe as though he's just another player out there, in which case Mbappe will have a lot of fun with that defense, I'm sure. I get the feeling that the French are going through, but I just don't know whether it'll be Mbappe that's the difference maker, or if the concern over him being the difference maker will open up space for others. But I'm seeing France going through in this game. It is, of course, the PHNX France podcast, so we can't pick anybody other than France here. France at plus 145. Take it now.
Ooh, interesting.
Nice. Let's move on to Morocco versus Portugal. Morocco plus 475, draw plus 275. Can't really have a draw, right? And then negative 150.
It's 90 minutes, isn't it? Again,
90 minutes. There you go. But yeah, Morocco. Don't sleep on Morocco, man. They proved it today, man. They can hang with the big boys.
Oh man, this is such an interesting matchup. Yeah, I mean, I think Spain was one of the favorites to, especially really criticized for me. Spain was one of the favorites after that match against Germany. Even though they didn't look particularly impressive, I thought if you can hang that way against one of the quote unquote better teams in the world, and the way that they play, that I think you can make a run. But Morocco shut that nonsense down. I still think Portugal has some holes. I think that while they're very strong offensively, they can still be leaky, and I don't know how long you want to roll with Pepe in the back. Yes, he subbed it. He came in because of injury, but how long can he really keep it up? Give me the Atlas Lions, Morocco, in a tight 1-0 affair.
Ooh. I'm not quite as confident as you. Yeah, I'm going with the 2 advance line here. So Morocco plus 245. Morocco to advance. First African team in the semi-final. Let's see it happen.
Let's go.
Of all time? That's crazy. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
As much as I'd
Come
love
on,
to see
surely
it.
you remember the Ghana-Uruguay thing. That was because Ghana were going to be the first in the semi-final.
Ooh, true.
Before
Yeah,
Suarez
right.
got
I
involved
think
with
the bigger
Yeah.
question with this match is Ronaldo starting this game? Yes or no?
Hell no.
Oh, of course. This World Cup quarterfinal becomes all about Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh,
Thanks,
no.
Ramon. You know, I feel as though what we. No, I'm not interested. Not interested in this overpaid crybaby who only seems to want to talk about whether it brushed his hair or not. No.
I'm guessing he's not starting. Max, what do you have to say?
No, I don't believe he is. I do think he'll get if he does not start, which I don't believe he is. He strikes me as more of a halftime substitute. They don't wait quite as long. But I think also, like, realistically, this game very well likely could go down to penalties. You do want to conserve him if he's not starting. So I actually think from a tactical perspective, kind of makes sense too. So yeah. Give him a halftime sub.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how much they missed him today as they smacked the Swiss 6-1. They definitely need Cristiano Ronaldo out there.
Oh, man, but that defense had more holes than Swiss cheese. You know what I mean? Hey.
The next match, the Netherlands versus Argentina. This was Friday at 12 p.m. Netherlands plus 255, draw plus 220, and then Argentina plus 125. I'm leaning Argentina with this one. I don't think Netherlands has what it takes against this team.
I think it's going to be a very good game.
Yeah.
And I'm very much looking forward to it, but I am also going to take Argentina.
I mean, Netherlands, be probably one of the favorites, if not the favorite in this tournament in the round of 16, as we all know. But yeah, give me Argentina. I want to set up the destiny match possibly against Brazil in the semis. I think out of all the quarterfinals, I think this one has the potential to be the most down to the wire, even more so possibly than Morocco and Portugal. So yeah, give me Argentina in this one.
All right, last one, Brazil versus Croatia. Croatia not looking good here, plus 800 for them to win, and regulation plus 400 for a draw, and then negative 265 for Brazil. Yeah, I think Brazil will take this pretty easily.
Smash that plus 400.
I'd say smash it.
I'm saying 90 minutes, it's going to be a draw.
No. I mean,
Croatia.
Listen, every time we write off Croatia, it's like, oh, we're gonna go to extra time. We're gonna go to pens. I mean, I think Brazil wins this, maybe even by 2 goals, but I don't think it's gonna be just this blowout affair from the start.
Says Michael. Yeah, I'd even say more than 3 goals they score.
No way. I disagree.
Yeah, I think Croatia's too old to hang in with them. So
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to our podcast next week when the Croatians take it to extra time. When you've been like, Brazil are going to win by 3.
I want to see more of the pigeon.
Should we file that one along with Belgium or a dark horse, and Belgium might win it?
Yeah, Ramon.
Maybe along with Denmark or a decent
to the
team
final,
as well.
Me? It doesn't sound like me, guys. You question my character.
That's true. It's the goal scoring earlier that you said you could do, and then this, yeah, completely. Quick question before we wrap up the Brazil. There's a lot of people on the internet not too happy with the celebrations of Brazil in that South Korea game. So I take that as a bunch of noise. This is the way Brazilians have always been. They always are, they're happy to celebrate. They do these dances. To me, it's all in good fun. It's never trying to demean the opposition, but I've heard other people say otherwise. What were your thoughts on this?
I think at 4, it's still just about fine. I think when you get to maybe 7 or 8, then you're taking it a bit much. I think that's where the difference is. There's a line. There's always a line. You can't do it indefinitely because you do look like an ass when you're dancing on the grave of someone that's vastly inferior. But I'm not sure that 4 is too much or not. I tend to let it slide.
I'm really not trying to be that guy who stirs the pot as I stir the pot here.
You hate dancing.
He's gonna stir the pot.
I don't think you can have it. It's not like a gray thing. I feel it's either black or white. You either enjoy people celebrating like any of the goals you don't. And the way I look at it is I'll provide the counterpoint of you don't know when you're going to score a World Cup goal, especially at this stage. And these players have been dreaming for it all their lives. Is it maybe, dancing on the grave, quote unquote, of a team who you are blowing out? Yes, but it's also like, all right, now this is me stirring the pot. If you don't want someone to dance the celebration, don't let them score on you. It's tough, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what else you want me to say. Like, they're just having fun. They're doing their thing. Like, I'm a fan of it. I don't mind it.
I mean, if you
all right, Ramon, I hear that we're all dancing on the grave of the USMNT now, aren't we?
No.
I mean, if you guys remember back in 2019 and during the Women's World Cup, the women's national team kind of got in a little bit of hot water for doing that. I think it was like a 7-0, and they were still celebrating.
No, it was a lot more than that. That was 13.
That was 13.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So that's a little nuts. I understand that.
It was. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember that being a hot topic for sure. So, but yeah, guys, if you guys have not downloaded the DraftKings Sportsbook app, make sure to do so. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. And make sure to check out the show notes for more details. Make sure to get these bets in because the World Cup's almost over, man. I feel like we just started where we're there at Four Peaks in the first, watch along party that we had, and now we're doing our regular shows back on our regular schedule. I'm going back to work tomorrow. It's like it all happens so quick. So, but yeah, make sure to do so because you make some money on this DraftKings Sportsbook app. All right, y'all. That's pretty much all I had for today. Anything else you guys wanted to hit at?
I'm
just
gonna
stare awkwardly at you.
That's often what I do to you guys, regardless. Yeah, man. DraftKings Sportsbook app. Try it. Don't pick my pick of Lautaro Martinez for Golden Boot because that's just absolutely.
I had him for Golden Ball.
That guy, yeah.
I didn't. I was gonna say I did not have a Golden Ball. Well, I was gonna say that code PHNX, you definitely can make that money. I'm curious, who do you guys think is going to finish at this point with the Golden Boot? Because we actually have a couple now, like newcomers, as recently as in today's games.
I feel like Mbappe out of that bunch.
It's
going to be Mbappe or Messi.
Yeah.
How are we feeling, Owen?
Wait, who's going to take the
Golden Boot?
What's the current goal scorer table there?
I think it's Mbappe with 5, I believe.
I think so.
Mbappe.
And then Gakpo has 3. Take a look here.
I'm getting them up now. Yeah, it's Mbappe with 5. 5 could be enough. That's the thing, right? Even if they don't get through now, 5 would still be enough.
Yeah. Harry Kane.
I don't know.
That's your Golden Boot.
Oh yeah, tapping boy, tappins. He's not gotten many of them this year.
No, more of a
shame. Where's the penalties? Where's the penalties, Max? What's he supposed to do if he can't kick it in from 12 yards out with no one else?
Playing for Spurs, playing for England. It's okay. I don't care.
Oh my goodness. All right, y'all. Yeah, great show, y'all. Before we wrap up, I do want to shout out Four Peaks. If you guys were able to join us for our watch alongs there, thank you so much again for doing that. We're gonna be having a lot more stuff with them, and it is the holiday season, so you guys can give the gift of beer. If you guys are looking to give some presents to your loved ones, and Four Peaks still has limited supplies of their December Advent Calendar box for $55. You can enjoy specialty beers, tall boys, and more. And you guys can purchase this box at their 8th Street Pub in Tempe. And Max had the box the other day; it looked pretty great. So I'm just saying, you want a great gift. You guys can purchase that one. That's it for us tonight, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. Bandidos, Michael, Jose, thank you for joining us here today. We will be back Thursday at 6 p.m. Talk some more World Cup and maybe some Rising news. We'll see. We never know when they're going to drop some stuff, so we'll see if we can have something else for y'all. All right, y'all. That is it for us here at PHNX Rising. Thank you to our producer, Emma, for helping us out today. Until then, have a great night.